In the quiet hum of our modern world, we often forget the echoes of the past, the whispers of forgotten eras. But what if those echoes weren't just whispers? What if they were roars, waiting to reclaim their dominion? Imagine a world, much like our own, ticking along to the rhythm of technology and progress. Cities of steel and glass scrape the sky. Digital streams connect continents, and the old myths are just that, stories for children. Tales to be told around digital campfires, but deep beneath the earth, in the slumbering hearts of mountains and the sunless depths of the ocean, something ancient stirred. It wasn't a monster from a forgotten legend. Not exactly. It was life. Life that had existed long before humanity first learned to tame fire. For millennia they slept. These primordial beings, the true architects of the planet, Te Weribast, magnificent creatures of scale and fur, of claw and fang, embodying the raw, untamed power of nature itself. We, in our hubris, had built our world on their graves, or so we thought. The first sign was subtle, strange seismic readings that baffled geologists, unexplained magnetic fluctuations that sent compasses spinning wildly. Then, the whispers grew louder. Fishermen spoke of colossal shadows moving beneath their boats, shapes too large to be whales. Hikers in remote mountain ranges returned with stories of earth-shattering roars that shook the very peaks. Sounds that didn't belong to any known animal. Scientists dismissed it as mass hysteria, tricks of light and sound. The world, comfortable in its certainty, paid little attention. The awakening was not a single event, but a symphony of resurgence. From the volcanic heart of the Pacific, a creature of immense size emerged, its hide like molten rock, its breath a cloud of superheated steam. It wasn't an attack, it was simply rising, stretching its limbs after an eon of slumber. Its sheer presence created tidal waves that reshaped coastlines. Cities built on the edge of the sea were the first to understand that the old world had returned. Simultaneously, across the continents, the land itself began to move. In the sprawling Amazon, forests rearranged themselves as titanic. Plant-like behemoths rose from the soil, their canopies so vast they blotted out the sun. From the frozen tundras of the north, gargantuan, fur-covered titans broke free from glaciers where they had been encased for ages, their mournful calls echoing across the icy plains. These weren't monsters of destruction, but forces of nature personified. They were the planet's original immune system, and humanity, with its pollution and relentless expansion, had triggered a fever. Our initial reaction was, predictably, fear. And with fear came aggression. The world's militaries, with their advanced jets and missiles, were mobilized. We threw everything we had at them. It was like throwing pebbles at a mountain. Our most powerful weapons barely scratched their ancient hides. A missile might anger one, causing it to swat a squadron of jets from the sky like annoying flies. But it couldn't stop it. We were infants throwing a tantrum in the presence of elders. This conflict, this war, was a humbling lesson. We weren't fighting an invading army. We were fighting the planet itself. The creatures, or titans, as the media quickly dubbed them, weren't malicious. They were simply reclaiming their space, restoring a balance we had long since shattered. Where they walked, nature exploded in their wake. Deserts bloomed with life overnight. Polluted rivers ran clean. The air, thick with our smog, cleared as if by magic. They were terraformers, and we were merely an obstacle in their path. A new kind of science had to be born, one that sought not to conquer, but to understand. A brilliant but disgraced biologist named Dr. Eris Thorne had been laughed out of the scientific community years earlier for his bioresonance theory. He proposed that the Earth possessed a form of latent consciousness, and that massive, undiscovered life forms were an integral part of its global ecosystem. Suddenly, his wild theories were the only thing that made sense. Governments, desperate for a solution that didn't involve mutual annihilation, turned to Thorne and his small, dedicated team. They established research outposts, not to study the Titans from a safe distance, but to try and communicate. They discovered that the Titans emitted low-frequency bioacoustic signals, a language of vibrations, roars, and resonance. It was a language older than words. The key, Thorn believed, was not in fighting them, but in showing them we could coexist. That we weren't a virus to be purged, but a part of the world they were trying to heal. He and his team developed a device, a harmonic resonator, designed to mimic the Titan's frequencies. It was a desperate gamble, a message in a bottle thrown into a primordial ocean. Their first attempt was near the colossal forest titan that had taken root in what was once a sprawling industrial complex. As military forces prepared for another futile assault, Thorn's team activated their device. They didn't broadcast a threat or a plea. They broadcast a signal of symbiosis, a pattern they had deciphered from the way smaller organisms interacted with the Titan. A song of harmony. For a moment, there was silence. The ground stopped shaking. The Titan, which had been slowly crushing the remnants of factories, paused. One of its enormous, vine-like appendages, miles long, slowly lowered itself towards Thorn's tiny outpost. It didn't crush them. It gently touched the ground nearby, and from its tip, a shower of luminescent spores rained down. Within minutes, the barren, polluted soil around them was carpeted in strange, beautiful flora that glowed with a soft, blue light. It was a response, an acknowledgement, a gift. This singular event changed everything. The world began to see the Titans not as destroyers, but as saviors, albeit terrifying ones. Humanity's focus shifted from war to adaptation. Cities were redesigned, built in harmony with the new giants that roamed the earth. We learned to live in their shadows, to respect their territories. We became tenants on a planet that we once thought we owned. The world was transformed. The skyline was no longer just steel and glass, but also the silhouette of a Titan grazing on a mountain peak. The soundscape was a mix of city traffic and the distant, deep-throated call of a primordial being. We learned to read the signs, to understand the planet's rhythms through the behavior of its ancient guardians. Our technology evolved. We learned to harness the bioenergy the Titans naturally emitted, creating clean, sustainable power. Our medicine was revolutionized by studying the regenerative properties of their unique biology. We had been forced to take a giant leap, not forward in our quest for dominance, but sideways, into a new era of coexistence. The past hadn't just returned, it had become our future. The roar of the ancients was not a death knell for humanity, but a wake-up call. It was the roar of life itself, reminding us that we are part of a much larger, much older, and much more magnificent story than we had ever dared to imagine. We had been brought to the brink, humbled, and in doing so, we had finally found our true place in the world, not as its masters, but as part of its grand, breathing, living whole. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. If you were captivated by the roar of the ancients, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next exploration into worlds beyond imagination. Until next time, stay curious.